I'm here to talk about 3 big ideas in criminal justice.
In this video, I'm going to be discussing a recent video put out on YouTube by Deray Mckesson. He's a woke activist who has kind of got his claim to fame during this entire BLM movement in light of the recent shootings of black men that have taken place over recent years. He posted a video that really got my attention, and he made some pretty, shall we say, bold or outlandish claims, because there's a lot of false information that's being spread out there, ladies and gentlemen. I feel as if a lot of people who are these BLM advocates, I believe that their main arguments are built on lies or built on exaggerations of the truth, for lack of a better term. So in this video, I'm going to be addressing some of those points. If you enjoy this content, make sure you like and subscribe so you never miss out on any of my newer videos. Let's jump right into this.
I'm Deray Mckesson, civil rights activist and one of the co-founders of Campaign Zero. I'm here to talk about 3 big ideas in criminal justice. The first is police violence. As of today, there are only 16 days where a police officer did not kill someone in the United States. The police kill 1,100 people a year, disproportionately killing people of color.
Okay, we didn't get too far into the video where I already wanted to pump the brakes. Where I already wanted to say, pump the brakes, homeboy. So his first point that he wanted to make here was the claim that there were only 16 days during the year 2020 where police officers didn't kill anyone, and that the police kill 1,100 people a year. Now, those numbers can alternate between 900 and there have been some years where the police have killed over 1,000 people each year. Or when you first hear that claim, that can alarm a lot of people. And I in no way am I seeking to minimize any deaths. Anyone who's familiar with me would know better. The main question that should be asked is, are these shootings, are these events justified? Were the police put in a situation where deadly force needed to be utilized? That should be the primary question. Considering that there are over 330 million people in this country and that there are anywhere between 500,000 to 2 million cops policing in the United States, making in some estimates over 300 million contacts every single year. Should we be shocked when the police actually have to take a life? In all honesty, we should be shocked that the number is as low as it is, considering the high volume of interactions that the police have and the high amount of violence and criminal activity that takes place every single day in this country. That should be the first question we should ask. And that should be what goes through our mind, not just looking at the number. And clearly that number is presented, those numbers, only 16 days, the 1,100 people a year, that number is meant to shock you or to keep you from rationally viewing the entire issue.
Black people are 3 times more likely to be killed by police than white people. Members of the Latino community are 2 times more likely to be killed by the police.
Now, we should be able to openly and honestly be able to do a self-examination, examine our community and see if there are some issues that are being ignored that could be leading to some of these disproportionate crime rates. Could it be the fact that there's a higher percentage of broken homes? Could it be the joblessness rate? Could it be how certain aspects of violence are celebrated in the music and in some of our other entertainment? While at the same time not ignoring the tactics and activities of the police and seeing if there aren't holes in their game, seeing if there aren't areas that need to be improved.
There are 8 cities in the United States where a black man is more likely to be killed by a police officer than anyone is likely to be killed by anyone else.
Once again, what is going on in those communities? What is the crime rate? What are the police doing? What is the police training? We don't just look at one side, we look at both sides, and we need to have open and honest discussions and open and honest areas of self-examination.
11 officers have ever been convicted in 1 year for those killings, and those officers aren't even convicted for murder.
The unfortunate reality is that law enforcement is a dangerous job. You go to work, the average officer goes to work, puts on a bulletproof vest, a duty belt with a taser, hopefully, pepper spray, magazines, a firearm, an expandable baton. Those things aren't put on for giggles and for a good time. They are donned because of the inherent dangers of this job. When the officer responds to a violent domestic violence call, a robbery in progress, or a high-speed chase, or whatever the case may be, or whatever the call, the reality is that there's certain aspects of policing that are violent, that are dangerous. Fortunately, the Supreme Court understood this. They also understood that in some court cases that came before them, in particularly Graham versus Connor and Tennessee versus Garner, that there are inherent dangers that are unique to law enforcement. And sometimes they're forced to make split-second decisions in situations that are highly volatile and oftentimes rapidly changing. So they offered some protections based on these realities. Yes, officers do get arrested. They do go to jail. But oftentimes, these cases need to be examined from a certain perspective. And that perspective, based on, once again, those Supreme Court cases, the reasonable officer standard. And the question that needs to be asked is, what would a reasonable officer do given a similar set of circumstances, given the same amount of information, and not with the hindsight of 2020? Because it's easy for us to sit back from the safety of our homes, from the safety of our living rooms, looking on our smartphones, and critique these officers who don't have this privilege, who are in the thick of things, who are in the middle of some of these violent encounters, where stress plays a role, where their lives or someone else's lives could possibly be on the line. So this framing as if the police are just exempt from all levels of scrutiny or litigation is really just silly. And it's more of a careful understanding and examination of the dangers that are associated with the job.
Imagine if you had a job where it was impossible to be fired. It doesn't matter how many cameras you put up if they know it is impossible for there to be any accountability.
And once again, there is accountability. Cops do get terminated. Cops do go to jail. They do go to prison. There's interdepartmental discipline that takes place. You just may not hear about it all the time. And I think primarily because it just doesn't get reported that much. I know people, I personally know officers who have went to prison. I personally know officers who have been locked up, incarcerated, terminated, sued. So it really frustrates me when I hear people spin these situations and try to make it out to be that it's only one way and that cops are just free to do whatever they want to do. That's just insane. And that's one of the many lies, one of the many exaggerations that are being pushed out there on a continual basis. And most people don't have the time or don't take the time to examine these claims to see if they're legitimate or not. Now, there are other aspects of the video that he made that I think need to be addressed, but I want to know what you guys think. If you want to see part 2, comment down below. I'll make a video to address the other section of his video. Once again, if you appreciate this content, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. In the meantime, stay safe, God bless, and make sure you join the conversation.